Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Keon and today I'm going to be drawing Kiki's delivery service. So I'm going to go ahead and start sketching this out. The image that I chose is from one of the posters, I think, and a scene in the film where Kiki and her cat, Gigi, are looking out the window kind of wistfully. And I think this moment does really represent the mood of the film pretty well. So I think it's a good choice for the poster. Kiki is a 13-year-old girl. She's a witch. She lives in what seems to be a beautiful countryside town in some unnamed country. And we open on her in a meadow listening to the radio, and it's really serene. She hears that the weather that evening is going to be clear, which helps her to decide to begin her year-long journey to train as a witch. So her parents are concerned for her. They're not really ready to say goodbye, but they let her go anyway because it's tradition and they can tell she really wants to. Her mom insists that she takes her broom instead of the one that she made that day to fly off at midnight. And she has a bit of a rocky start, but she's still optimistic, and she just takes off into the night, saying goodbye to everyone. And she's flying with her radio and just having the best time. She spots another witch flying next to her, so she goes up and she says hello. And the witch is kind of mean. She's a little bit of a stuck-up character, and she makes Kiki feel inadequate. But anyways, it starts to rain really, really hard, and so she camps out inside of a train that's not moving to shield herself from the rain, and falls asleep. And while she's sleeping, the train starts to move, and she ends up waking up the next morning having no idea where she is. And she's woken up by some cows that are underneath the hay she decided to sleep in, licking her feet. So she pops out the train and she is looking around, and she comes to a pretty big city, like a town by the coast. And she's just like amazed, excited, and she decides, okay, yeah, this is where we're gonna stay. And actually, I think I read that Miyazaki and his team traveled to Europe and studied the landscape there to kind of base the design of the city off of like a few Scandinavian towns. So they went there and did some sketches, and they came back and made the design of the city based on a couple places in Northern Europe. It's kind of similar to Howl's Moving Castle, I think, as well. It's also based on like European town So she's exploring the town, and she nearly causes an accident on the street. There's a bunch of cars moving around, and she gets distracted, and a police officer stops her and tries to get her information and take her to her parents, and suddenly someone's shouting in the distance about a thief, and so the police gets distracted and Kiki runs away. But it turns out that the person who was yelling was just a little boy who loves witches and is excited to see one, so he chases her down and tells her, but I think Kiki is just a bit flustered, and she has this strange boy talking to her, so she kind of blows him off. So then she tries to find a place to stay. First she goes to a hotel, and they're kind of like, who are you? Where are your parents? Like, no, we can't stay here. So she leaves, and she's kind of like in a pickle. You can tell she's really going through it. But luckily, she passes a woman who's chasing after someone who left something behind in her shop, a pacifier. But the woman has already made it far away, so she can't really reach her because she's pregnant. So Kiki offers to take it for her. She flies away, like right down on her broom, and gives it to her. And the mother thanks her and gives her a note to give back to the woman in the shop. So she goes back to the shop, and they get to talking, and so the woman, she offers her spare room above the bakery to Kiki. And she goes, buys food and a couple of other things, and she realizes, yeah, she's running out of money. So that's where she gets the idea to start her business delivering packages on her broom. And she's really excited. This woman ends up being, really helpful. She lets her use her phone to start her delivery business. And, Kiki's back on top. And the rest of the movie is kind of just her misadventures as a delivery person. So now I'm pretty much done drawing Kiki, and I'm ready to draw her cat, Gigi, next to her. I don't think I'm going to draw her surroundings at all, but I'll draw her cat because that's her companion. Just going to sketch it out the same way at first that I did Kiki, very lightly, and then go back and fill in the details when I have the shape right and the proportions, more or less. Gigi is really, really small. There's actually a scene in the movie where he's confused for a stuffed animal, or he's pretending to be a stuffed animal, rather. His character is really sarcastic, and he kind of plays the straight man to Kiki's mishaps. At some point, Kiki loses her powers. She can't fly, and suddenly she can't understand Gigi at all. And this voice of reason, this character that brought a lot of commentary to the film is suddenly silent. And I think, this is meant to be, Kiki's losing her self-esteem, her self-confidence, and her powers with it. This is actually part of the growing up process for her as well. I also read that Miyazaki intended Gigi's character to be kind of a representation of Kiki's innocence. And when she loses her ability to talk to him, it's kind of her maturing and growing up. So it is a classic coming-of-age story in this way, but it all does come to a head at the end when Kiki learns that her friend Tombo is stuck hanging from a dirigible that has fallen and started to hang upside down, and she needs to fly to save him, but she hasn't been able to. So she really needs to believe in herself. She runs into town and she steals a broom from a janitor and tries her best to fly, even though it's very chaotic. She's falling, she's going in every which way, and it's a very tense moment. But in the end, she is just able to save her friend from falling to his death. And yeah, her flying, her powers come back, and the movie ends with her writing a note to her parents, just telling them how great everything has been and how much she's learned. And yeah, that's it. This movie is probably one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies, if not any movie. I just love that it's so slow-paced and quiet, and I feel like it really represents loneliness in a way that's really special. That's not too scary. It's nostalgic. It's really beautifully made. The art style and the colors are just so nice, and it's just such a cozy movie to watch. And if you haven't seen it, or if you have, I recommend you watch it again this spooky season. And that's it. I'm pretty much done here. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.